Last time out in the British Rally Championship, we saw a new name at the top of the results as James Williams took his first BRC win with victory at his home event, the JDS Machinery Rally Ceredigion. Round 6 sees a run of sealed surface events come to an end, with the crews switching back to gravel for the final 2 rounds, the first of those being the Trackrod Rally Yorkshire, which would take in some iconic stages in and around the Dalby Forest complex. Adrien Fourmaux heads into this round with a chance of adding his name to a long list of rally legends that are etched on the BRC trophy, and the prospect is an exciting one for the Frenchman.
We have to finish the rally first, but for sure it will be a big pleasure for me. We know it's a really famous championship. Also Elfine, I think, have his name on it. So yeah, I think it's sometimes a step you have to do to go back on the rally one. So yeah, I think I could be really honoured of this.
The rally starts on Friday evening with a 12-mile blast through Dalby in the dark, while Saturday hosts the bulk of the miles, including another run through the Dalby stage and a 13-mile finale through Langdale. Out into the night, we would see Adrien Fourmaux and Alexandre Coria reach the end of the opening test with the lead of the event, despite finding it a little trickier than they expected. With the historic event tackling the stage before the BRC, the lines in a historic car and a Rally 2 car are a little different, meaning that the pair were having to contend with loose gravel, making the grip changeable.
Gauche 120 plus milon tenir bois. 120 plus milon tenir bois.
Well, it's trickier than expected actually. Well, I really like to drive in the dark, but this one was really special. On gravel was really nice. I was enjoying, but the grip was really low. I was expecting a higher grip, but it's really, really low. It's like the cars in front are breaking a lot of gravel and makes a lot of loose. So all the time my lines are not in the lines of the guys in front, so I'm always struggling. So yeah, it was more difficult than expected.
Fresh from some tuition by former BRC champion Matt Edwards, Garry Pearson and Daniel Barrett head to Yorkshire with some changes to the driving style and the car, and it was working well. Right on the pace from the start, they were not letting Fourmaux get away, stopping the clocks just 1.4 seconds apart after 12 miles.
Yeah, that was very tricky, to be honest with you. Grip probably varied quite a lot throughout the whole thing, so just really difficult to get a rhythm, and I was trying a few new things in there and it probably didn't work too well for me, just struggling to get into it.
After missing the last few rounds, Stephen Petch and Michael Wilkinson weren't here to try and change the championship narrative, but they were here to claim a good result on their local round. A few mistakes in the stage would slow them a little, but they end the night with third.
It's a lot slippier than I thought. Wide on lots of corners, made lots of mistakes. I've got some different tyres on today. I'm trying some Michelin, so that was a bit of a difference as well. So no, we're around. We'll start again tomorrow and try and go from there.
Tom Williams and Ross Whittock returned to UK rallying after spending some time in America. But they weren't having a straightforward run though, with some issues on the car pushing them on under braking. One to look at overnight and hopefully get sorted for day 2.
We had a tricky stage in there, something wasn't right. We tested, we had a great test, we had a great feeling, but in there it just wasn't right. There was something where the car was just pushing on and I just couldn't stop for any of the junctions. And I was just constantly alarms and warnings coming up on the screen. So we had a good time, but we're just here to see what we can do against Adrien, and we got a hold of tomorrow.
Alan Carmichael and Claire Williams were back in the old car for this round, and with it a welcome return to right-hand drive for the National Rally title contenders. A stall would lose them some time as they struggled to get the car restarted again, but with Alan in line to take the title, they were still where they needed to be.
I stalled at the last there and I couldn't get the car started, so I couldn't. So we lost a lot of time up at the end, but we got it going. That's why I turned all the lights off, because it just didn't seem to want to start. But it was very, very slippy in there. So, but I wanted to get the night pass, so all go tomorrow.
What time?
Stu McLaren and Adam Entwistle would be the only other crew in the National Series this weekend. The historic car, an unusual sight amongst the more modern machinery, but the enjoyment was clear. Smiles all round in that cadet.
It's cracking fun. We were grinning all the way through, but grimacing on the bottom of the car, grinning in the faces. So yeah, it's a pretty rough. I mean, the first few cars have obviously done it up quite badly with that rain. But, you know, we got through. The whole point is to get some mileage in the car and keep going in the BRC, and, you know, who knows where you end up if you get to the finish.
Kyle McBride and Liam McIntyre were the only crew in the junior BRC to be able to make it to this round, and a win would be on the cards. But of course you need to finish before you can take a win, and driving at anything other than 100% can cause mistakes. This was the first time out on gravel in the dark for the pair, so they would be more than happy to make it to the end of the day.
Yeah, it's tricky in there for sure. No, we're happy to get through it nice and clean, and yeah, I can't wait to get going for tomorrow. It'll be interesting.
After a significant crash on the Ulster Rally, it would be a return for Stephen Waugh and Mark Broadbent in the BRC 4 class. They were having a few small issues with the car on the Friday night stage, but nothing they couldn't sort for day 2.
Yeah, it's brilliant to be back. I would have taken an easier one. We had a couple of problems nursed through there, so an easier one coming back would have been nice, but we're still here, so we'll get sorted tonight and we'll be back tomorrow.
So with the opening stage complete, the results look like this heading into the overnight halt. On to day 2, and Adrien Fourmaux and Alexandre Coria were finding a lot more grip this morning than they did in the dark, despite a few rain showers along the way trying to change that. There would still be some sections in the trees that were a little more slippery than the rest, but they managed their lead well and would extend it somewhat by the end of stage 4. Garry Pearson and Daniel Barrett were slipping back slightly from their close time last night, but not by much. 19 seconds really wasn't a significant deficit to the leaders, and with a push they could still close the gap back up. A switch this weekend to a new tyre and a gravel debut in the Polo would mean the pair would need to adapt quickly if they were to fight Fourmaux for the title. More grip than last night was how Stephen Petch and Michael Wilkinson described the stages on day 2, a view shared by the rest of the crews. It wasn't a perfect run, with a few seconds lost here and there, and with the tyres starting to go off by the end of the loop, it would be time for some changes in service. Tom Williams and Ross Whittock admitted that they had the setup all wrong on the car last night. The gravel here a lot different in characteristics than in the US, so it was taking some time to adjust to that. Things were better today though, and they were gaining more confidence in the car as the rally progressed. Rain showers would add some spice to the day depending on where you were in the stage when it came down, and for Alan Carmichael and Claire Williams it would be a case of trying to work out where the grip was still respectable. They have no more issues though and continue to lead the National Series. And continuing to lie second in that would be Stu McLaren and Adam Entwistle. Running behind a number of other championships would mean some sections of the stage were rough in the historic cadet, but that wasn't stopping them enjoying it. They did crash in one of these stages last year though, so they would be glad to get to service in one piece. Kyle McBride and Liam McIntyre were doing what they needed to do, keeping out of trouble and having a clean run. They were missing the baton at the top of the juniors this time, but that wasn't stopping them enjoying the event and looking forward to the longer final stage through Langdale. Stephen Waugh and Mark Broadbent had fixed the issues from last night and were back out this morning a lot happier than when they went to bed. They were buoyed by the times as the confidence was returning in that Fiesta R2T. So just 2 stages and 25 miles of action remain, including the longest of the rally, and the results heading into the final loop look like this. On to the final stages then, and it would be a finish for Stephen Waugh and Mark Broadbent. They came so close to that finish ramp in Ulster before the accident, so we're delighted to reach the end of this one and put some more points on the board in this season of learning for the BRC4 pair. Kyle McBride and Liam McIntyre just had to get to the finish to get those BRC junior points, and they did just that. It keeps the title fight going to the final round in Wales in a few weeks' time, and that was the sole aim of this weekend. Job done for the pair. Stu McLaren and Adam Entwistle were happy to get to the finish and had loved the stages. They couldn't do anything about the National Series result this weekend, but they were still looking forward to getting out on the final round of the championship, the Cambrian Rally, in a few weeks' time. One pair that could do something about the National Series title would be Alan Carmichael and Claire Williams. Alan lifting the trophy here in Yorkshire for a second year running. They had been entertaining the spectators all weekend, and the win would be welcomed, even if celebrations would have to wait, as he needed to dash off and get the ferry home to Northern Ireland. Tom Williams and Ross Whittock admitted that they had enjoyed the event more in the daytime than the dark, but overall they had had a great weekend. A chance to make some changes to the car and pit themselves against the regulars in the series. A lot to be taken away from the event and plenty of smiles as they take fourth. It would be a career best BRC podium this weekend for Stephen Petch and Michael Wilkinson, something that they hadn't seen much in recent events. They were still pushing a bit wide on some of the corners and could have gone a little faster had it not been for that. But overall, they were more than happy with the finish this weekend. Garry Pearson and Daniel Barrett would be delighted with their pace, and it came on a rally that really mattered. Whether it was the tuition, the tyres, the confidence, or a combination of them all, they had proven that they were capable of a championship fight now that the full package was working well. But taking the win this weekend and indeed lifting that coveted British Rally Championship trophy would be Adrien Fourmaux and Alexandre Coria. In a blistering season, the pair won every round they contested, taking 5 victories, and they joined the likes of team boss Malcolm Wilson, Colin McRae and Richard Burns and many others on that British Rally Championship Roll of Honour.
Well, it's really nice to have our name next to all the famous name on the trophy. We can be really proud of what we have achieved this season in the BRC. It's been a tough season, and we are really happy to get the trophy.
So next up, the championship heads to North Wales for the Cambrian Rally, and the focus there will certainly be on the unresolved junior BRC title fight. Join us in a few weeks' time to see who comes out on top.